Alright, out here working on the Turbo 400 that broke the Sprag from the last outing in the Trans Am there. I was doing a burnout and I went to second and it kicked sideways on me and I let off on it. It chirped the gears, or chirped the tires, and it broke the Sprag. Now, you'll hear people say, well, I do that all the time. I've never broke one. It's really rough on the Sprag, and sometimes it'll break when that happens. Sure, you might get away with it 100 times, but sometimes this happens. So from now on, I'm just going to start doing a second gear burnout and go to third. And then if I do start in first gear, if I feel a need that I have to start in first gear, then I'll just go first, second, third real quick. As soon as I get RPM in first, I'll just go second, third real quick. But anyway, I don't know. It broke the Sprag. That's the bottom line. It broke the Sprag, and we got to fix it. So it also weren't the outer race, but I had another outer race. The outer races are the same. So if it's an 8 Sprag or whatever, you can take it off one of those. And luckily, I had one. So I just ordered a direct drum. That's all we needed, because down here where the Sprag goes, it scarred it up real bad. And it scarred the race up real bad, and it broke the Sprag, if y'all saw the last video. And we just took the transmission off enough to get the pump out. And then was able to get this out, the pump out, then this out, and then this came right out. Usually there's a band on these, but this is a trans brake setup, so it didn't have any of that. But anyway, so I got this handy dandy little tool, but now on these trans brakes on the direct drum, there's a really strong springs in here. Now this tool usually clips in the side of these grooves down here that the I done having a brain moment here. The snap ring goes in. Those usually slide where the snap ring go out, but where these springs are so powerful and you put this tool down, it just pops it right out. So what I've done was I took the snap ring out, just take a screwdriver where the opening is, put it right there and pry out, and it'll then pop it out and then snake it around and it'll come out. But I took the clutches out and I set them right there. They all look good. They look brand new almost. But yeah, no hot spots or nothing like that. But and then I put this back in and the snap ring back on. I'm gonna use that ledge, and I had to grind this out because I've already tried this, and this part hit this part, so I grinded that out a little. Hopefully it'll clear it now, because it wasn't going down far enough to get the snap ring out. But yeah, now we'll just push down on this with this thing right here and get this snap ring out. Alright, everything's together. Now just try to get everything as straight as you can. Then we'll twist this down and it should compress those springs. Then we'll take them snap ring pliers right there and take that snap ring out. Then you'll know if it's straight. If one side goes down more than the other, then it's not straight. So I've already had to try to reposition it about 5 times now. We'll try again. There's some little tab things right there that keep that snap ring from popping out. You gotta make sure you clear those. Alright, I think that's got her all the way around. Now we should be able to pop that snap ring out. I couldn't get the snap ring pliers to open it all the way up, but with the snap ring pliers facing like that, I was able to get it opened up enough. I could get this pick in there and pull it up top. It's not easy to get out. I'm gonna grab a pair of needle nose right here and see if I can't pull it out. Sweet, the needle nose popped it out. Now we'll just release the pressure up here and it'll come apart. Alright, that's what we got. We'll pop our snap ring back out. Got to push down on it to get a hold of it. And we'll take this part back out. once you go so far, it'll snake out. And then take this back out. And then this part right here, we'll just leave the springs on it because we're going to reuse it. They're kind of, some of them, well, no they're not, but we'll use it anyway. Then we pull this part out. It's under some suction. Ta-da! Seeing it's got a couple of lip seals in here. When we put that back in there, we got to make absolutely sure the lip seals don't fold back on us. And that's it. This part's done. There's a lip seal in here, but I don't use those. But yeah, this is done. We'll put it in the junk pile and we'll get the other one and we'll put it back together. All right, we got our new drum in, and with it setting like this, this should turn clockwise, lock counterclockwise. And the Sprag, this is the one we used. And the Sprag has, I should have took a video, but it's got it's got a retainer on the bottom and top of the Sprag, so you put that on first. They look like this. There's one that goes on the bottom and the Sprag goes on, and then there's one that goes on the top like that. And then you put this on there, slide it on there. The more even you get it, the easier it slides on. And then we put this part on, and then we put our retaining clip in, which this one's a that one's a spiral lock. Some of them are just the C clips, but the spiral locks are supposed to be stronger, so I put that on there. So this, and then the Sprag. This is the broken Sprag. I can't get it, the retainer, off this side, but anyway, you got a retainer on this side that, and those come off, and that goes on the top. Then the Sprag goes on just like that. You can watch the way these fold back and forth and tell which way you're supposed to put it in, but sometimes I mess that up and have to take it off and redo it. But once you get it all together, it should turn clockwise, lock counterclockwise. But anyway, that goes on there like that. The race goes on, the gears, the race on. I don't know the nomenclature very good. And then this piece goes on, and then the snap ring. Now this is a trans brake application, so we have to drill a hole right through here, and I forgot the size to drill for that, so we're going to look that up. And then once we drill that up and clean everything up and lube it up with transmission fluid, we'll put the piston in. But now, some of these drums have a check ball in them. Some of these pistons have a check ball in them. I'm told you can have a check ball in both of them. So I'm told. Or you can have a check ball in one of them and you're good. But you cannot not have a check ball in both of them. So if neither one of these have a check ball. But now I'm told if you drill the hole for the trans brake, you don't need a check ball. But I'm going to look in my stash of Turbo 400 parts and see if I've got a piston with a check ball in it. That one don't have one. This one don't have one either. Our old one had a check ball. See, that's right there. Well, unfortunately, I don't have a piston that has a check ball in it. But if you got that hole drilled, the research I've done for the trans brake, you drill a hole in these. If you got that hole, I'm told you don't need a check ball in either one of them. So, which makes sense to me because that hole's going to bleed it off. So we're going to go with no check ball and the hole drilled. A 1/16 of an inch bleed hole that you're supposed to have for trans brake applications in the direct drum. That's how I drilled it, and that's the angle I drilled it at. 45, about a 45-degree angle. Alright, cleaned out and blew out all the metal shavings, and that's where it went in at. I probably should have brought it in just a little bit back further than that ledge, but the lip seal rides right here on this part right here. So the lip seal on this is not going to get into that. See, it stands up a little, so it's not going to get into that. So that's the most important thing. You want it as close to the edge as you can get it, so centrifugal force pushes the fluid out, but you don't want it so much so that it's going to get into that lip seal. And that's the main thing, and that's where it come out at, which is actually perfect. That's exactly where we wanted it to come out at. So yeah, that came out perfect. It's exactly what we wanted, and it's not on that smooth. See, it's not on the smooth part where the lip seal rides. Oop. See, this part here is where the lip seal is going to ride at, right there. It's not going to go down that far. But I do kind of wish I got it. Well, actually, that's perfect. I think that's perfect. Yeah, I think that's perfect. And here's our old drum. It's pretty much in the same spot. Yeah, it's identical. That'll work. Alright, now we're going to drop our piston in. It came with a lip seal right here. It faces up. But on these trans brake applications, see, it's right down in there all the way around. You take that one out. You can just use the one that's inside here and the one down here. See? And these are still good. They're not a year old. So I want to carefully slide that down in there. Trying to get it as even as can up here. And we're going to spin and push. And we're going to use a small filler gauge. And we're going to use a small filler gauge to kind of push that seal down in there. See how it's not down in there over here? And it is right here where I went around. And we're going to carefully push down on this and do that, and maybe twist a little. You don't want to force that in, or that seal will flip backwards. And if it flips backwards, you're not going to get no pressure to apply your clutches. So this takes a little time and effort. Just kind of, I'm going to go all the way around and try to spin it a little, push down a little, see what that does. This middle one will usually go down by itself as long as you got it nice and straight, because it's beveled. Yeah, see if you can see where I'm at. See how it's pushing it down in there? See, this is where I was. This is where I'm going. It's pushing it down in there. Just slowly take your time. You don't want to gouge the seal. See how it's folding down in there? See? Alright, still working my way around. You'll see it went down on this side. Then it kind of popped out on this side. So yeah, you have to lift up and wiggle and wobble and use that filler gauge till it all gets down there where it's supposed to be. See, it's where it's supposed to be over here. And it starts coming out around here. So I've been trying to lift up on this side without bringing it off the seal, and then pushing this in and trying to kind of push it in as I go. Alright, it's in. That was a bit of a fight. So I'd do this side, and then it would fall down and make me cat corner, and then this side wouldn't want to go in when it was when it was cat corner like that. So what I had to do was I had to kind of pick it up and hold it as even as I could, and then go around it, and it just fell right in like that. I just kind of held it up. But once you get it in there, just pull up on it lightly and you should feel some suction. You feel some suction. Yeah, like see, it's kind of hard to pull up. I could probably pick it up. Ugh. Is there suction? I just pulled it out. But we'll do it again. That took me 5 or 10 minutes. Well, once you get it in there, you should feel some suction. But the trick is try to hold it as even as you can as you go around it. See how I did this back side and it went in, but then the front side popped out. So I'm going to try to lift up on the back and hold this even, and then go around the front. I actually lift up and pull back so the seal don't come off, and try to hold that as even as I can, then go around the front here. See where it's out right there. See if we pushed it down right there just hard. See, I haven't had to push down hard at all. Light pressure, it should drop right in. If you have to use pressure to push this down, you're probably going to ruin that seal. Alright, sweet. Back to where we was. A little bit of suction. See? We're going. Alright, now we're going to put this piece in. Piece of drop. I don't want no dirt or nothing down in here. I don't know where that come from. Make sure it's nice and clean. Now, if you got this kind of piston, there's an aluminum piston, but if you got this kind, then this piece right here, it locks in to this inner little ditch here, just like that right there. See how it locks in there? All right, now we're going to put our clutches and steels in. And then we're going to do some measuring. Steel, clutch, steel. Sometimes I don't want to fall in just right. Clutch, steel. Clutch, steel, these grooves are supposed to be all the same size, but sometimes you'll get it lined up one way and it don't want to drop, so I try the next groove. And then this is going to work as the top steel. But we're going to put that on, and we're going to put the snap ring on. Alright, then we're going to try to lift up on this on both sides and stick a filler gauge inside here. Those angled filler gauges work best for this. But we'll go straight in there, and we're going to try to get around 50 thousandths. If we don't have 50 thousandths, we need to find different thickness plates to go in here to get it right. It's too hard to get them filler gauges in there, plus I don't think that gives you a good measurement. So I noticed something. This doesn't move up and down as much as the clutches do, so we need to get it right on the clutches. We need to get this right over one of the clutch tabs. Now there we go. Now if I lift up on the clutches, I got 55. I got to lift up on all of them at once to get a good measurement. See if I can hold this and do it at the same time. The 50's right there. I got to lift up on all the clutches at once. See right there is 40. It'll go higher. It goes almost to 50, which is where I wanted it. Can y'all see? I'm gonna try to hold it with my body. and my chin. So actually, if I lift it up on that top clutch, just the top clutch by itself, up and down, I did get 70. That's about what I was getting with the filler gauge. And it should be 40 to 70, closer to 50. So I'm gonna try to see if I can find one thicker shim. So all these that were in here were 90 thousandths, except for one was 70 thousandths. So I'm gonna replace that 70, or the 70 to 75. My calipers ain't the best, so I'm gonna replace that with a 90 and see what that does. We're shooting for closer to 50 thousandths. So we was at 70 thousandths. We replaced a 75, I believe, with a 90 shim, and now we're at 55 thousandths. So the math comes out right on that. Let's go ahead and put the we'll put the springs back in all the way around, and then we'll have to compress this piece down. Once we get all the springs on it, we'll put this on there, compress it down with our tool just like we took it off, and then put the snap ring on it. I took the clutches and stills out, and I put this piece on just because my tool holds this better. There's these flat pieces of metal, and they're supposed to go up in the groove. The snap ring goes in, but it doesn't hold it very good. But we put all the springs in. The trans brake has to have all those springs, the really strong ones, and make sure the springs go up in that groove. And put all those on. Make sure all the springs are up in the groove like they're supposed to be. Then we're going to hook our tool up just like we took it apart and press that down and put the snap ring on it. So all this has to be lined up perfectly straight to push that straight down. I think I got it. But those grooves, that groove has to be lower than these notches. I don't know if we're cleared it over here or not. Oh, hard to see over here. Yeah, I don't know if that one cleared it or not. It looks like it did, but let's go ahead and try to put the snap ring in right here. I'll have to have two hands for that. We're just going to try to push that snap ring down on there. Alright, there we go. I put one groove. I put one side of the snap ring in the groove and just kind of pushed it down around, and it popped in. Now we'll go ahead and take the pressure off of it and make sure these tabs are on the outside of the snap ring, holding it on there. Alright, got the tool off. And now we can see the outside ledges are holding those in place. I should have watched that closer. You don't want the opening on one of these lips. You actually want the opening like over here somewhere, but I'm going to push it. I'm going to try to push it around with a screwdriver. If not, I'm going to put the tool on there and push it back down and slide that snap ring to where the opening is, like actually over here. That's how that tool is really supposed to go, up in that groove. But these big springs, every time I try to screw it down, it pops out. So we're probably going to have to put that back on just to get it to work. So I screw it down and it just pops out. Alright, there we go. It's not on one of them tabs now. It's in the opening. That's where I want it. Sweet. Now we'll put the stills and clutches back in, just like we took them out. Steel clutch, steel clutch, steel clutch, steel clutch. Total of 5 clutches and 5 steels. I did this a while ago, didn't I? It's just steel goes in first, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, and then you'll have a clutch on the top that this will go on top of. Yes, sir. We'll throw this back together. Alright, there we go. Total of 5. Steel clutch, steel clutch, steel clutch, steel clutch, steel clutch. And then this will go on top. And then put our snap ring on. It's hard to do with one hand. Yeah, I might have 2 hands. But yeah, you just stick it in and snake it around. It drops in. Alright, there we go. It's all back together. Now we can drop her down in the transmission. And before I stuck it down in there, I tried to line these clutches up straight up and down the best I could. And I tried to put them in the same spot in reference to the outside there. And I'm going to do the same thing down in here, because those grooves go down in those, and then those grooves go down in those. So the straighter you got it, the easier it's all going to go together. If you don't got it nice and straight, you might have to fight with it some. Look, those are already straight from where I pulled it out. So, see if we can get that to drop down in there. So even though I had all those lined up, it didn't drop all the way down like it should have. I had to go up and down and spin, and up and down and spin. You'll hear it click down, but that's about where it's at when it's all the way down. Then you'll hear, see, that's metal to metal, so it's all the way down. Now where I had my fingers in here, I messed these up. Let's straighten these back up, and we'll put this one in, but this one gets a washer in between there, so we can't forget that. Then this one's a little bit harder. That bottom one we put in, it only had to go through 3 clutches. That one's got to go through 5. So we'll turn and wiggle until it drops all the way down. And I measured it from here to here, and it was just a little bit over 1.25 inches is where it should be. See, and if y'all watched the last video, you'll know I measured this before, and it was just over 1.25 inches. That's where we're at. Perfect. Now we're going to put the pump gasket on. And if you need the pump gasket to stay where it's at, or that washer down in there, you can use transmission grease. I got some in the closet there, but I'm not using it. But yeah, now we just need to put the pump on, lined up with all the holes in the gasket. We're going to put a new gasket on. Well, unfortunately, my gasket was supposed to come in the mail today, and it said delivery failed. Usually when they say that, it means I forgot to put your package on the porch or in the box, because it came from the United States Postal Service, and I got everything else from the United States Postal Service I was supposed to get today, but that so that means they forgot to put it in the mail, or drop it on my porch, or put it in the box, or whatever. So usually when that happens, I'll get it tomorrow. So actually, you know what? We can go ahead and put the pan on. So I stuck that up in there. I lubed it up. Lubed up this part that goes up in there. I shoved that up in there, and then the bolt goes on like this with the washer, and then it goes right in that hole, and then that goes on the filter part. Screw that in real quick. That will get her started first. Got it started. I'm gonna bring this up here, push that up in there like that, and we can Tighten our bolt up. This thing don't tighten all the way up. There's a lot of play in it, but whatever. Alright, cleaned our pan up and our surfaces up. I like the rubber gaskets better, but I already had this gasket, this cork gasket, so we're just going to use it. Well, that gasket got stretched to the point the bolt holes don't line up, so I'm going to have to go get a different gasket. I've had this one laying in that tote over there, but I guess it just got stretched out. Oh well, we'll have to go get waiting on our oil pump gasket, and then we got to get our get a pan gasket from the parts store, and we'll finish her up. Catch y'all tomorrow. Hello YouTube, it's a new day. UPS finally delivered the pump gasket, but Advanced Auto Parts did not have an oil pan gasket, transmission oil pan gasket, so I had to order one of those. So I'll have to go back tomorrow, but we'll go ahead and throw the oil pump, or yeah, transmission pump gasket on it. So that gasket only line up with the holes and the bolt holes one way, but yeah, that's how it goes in. And we're gonna throw the pump in carefully. I put a mark right there. I put a mark on the pump, so that way when I put it on, hopefully I'll get it straight in there. But also, looking on this gasket and the other gasket, that 3S should be right at the top. See, 35 or 3S or whatever. PB or something, I don't know. That's what it was on the other gasket too. And I matched these up, made sure they were the same and everything's the same, blah, blah, blah. And the pump has a washer right there. And let me see there's where I put my mark. So we're gonna line it up with that mark right there. Set it on in there. Here we go, our marks are lined up. And our hole in our gasket should all look good all the way around. See if the gasket didn't line up, we would see gasket instead of a hole, kind of like we do there. What happened there? The gasket had came off a little while we were doing that. Now the battery on my phone is too low, but it's all straight now. So we'll put the bolts in, torque her down. So these bolts are offset, so I'm going to tighten it down here, here, and here, kind of go in a triangle motion, and then do here, here, and here. And once we get it snugged up, then we'll torque it. And I'm trying to tighten it up in a manner that it's going to push it down evenly. So do a little there, and you see it go down a little there, little there, little there, until it gets all the way seated, so it goes down nice and even. We'll just keep doing that until it goes all the way down. It's almost there. I don't want to get it to go in catty-corner. There it is. And then we'll just tighten these up in a triangle motion, and we'll torque them down the same way we did just here. And we'll go that one, that one, that one, and we'll double check that one. And we'll torque it the same way. Alright, there we go. I did 10 foot-pounds, and then I did 20 foot-pounds in like a crisscross pattern. So now we just need the pan gasket, put the pan on, torque it on, and we can slide it back under the car. Pan gasket will be here tomorrow. See y'all again tomorrow. It's pouring. Alright, it's a new day. And I got the transmission gasket, Velcro TOS 18621. And that lines up with the holes. Perfect. All the way around. So we'll go ahead and smack that on transmission. I'm just going to put it on dry. And we'll torque it down. Alright, stuck the bolts through there. The bolts actually fit tight into the gasket. And I just set it up there and started the bolts. Make sure the gasket went on like it should have. And then we'll just finger tighten them in a crisscross pattern. I'll probably start here. This one holds the catch can, so I didn't put those in yet. And those two hold the shifter linkage. Whoops, the shifter linkage actually goes on the other side. So probably start here, go there, and come back up here. And just hand tighten them in a crisscross pattern, and then do 2 waves of torque. I don't know what the torque is on them, but we'll look that up in a minute. Alright, hand tightened them in the sequence, and then I snugged them up in the sequence as well. Everything's looking good. Now we'll find out what the torque is and do 2 waves. For instance, if it's 80 inch-pounds, we'll do 40 in that same pattern, and then we'll do 80. But I don't know what the torque is, so I have to go look that up. I'm just out here on break, so I'll look that up and we'll come back after work. We'll torque her down, put the torque converter on, throw it in the car. Alright, so the torque is 130 inch-pounds, so I set it on 65. We'll do the crisscross pattern at 65, and we'll go to 130 and do the crisscross pattern again. Bye-bye. Crisscross. Crisscross. Well.